Welcome back to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. Philadelphia Mayor Michael Nutter is up in arms about a recent magazine piece titled, quote, "Being White in Philly," end quote. Here's an excerpt, and I quote, "Indeed, I've begun to think that most white people stopped looking around at large segments of our city, at our poorest and most dangerous neighborhoods a long time ago. One of the reasons, plainly put, is queasiness over race. Many of those neighborhoods are predominantly African American, and if you're white, you don't merely avoid them, you do your best to erase them from your thoughts." Best of the Web columnist James Taranto joins me now. James, I want to start with a big question. Doesn't the Constitution protect speech, even speech about race?
Yes. Mayor Nutter has come out and asked the City Human Rights Commission, which is a local bureaucracy, to investigate whether there is a way to punish Philadelphia Magazine for publishing this article. Of course there isn't. This mayor's actions...
Human Relations Commission.
Human Relations, right. I beg your pardon. The mayor's actions here are cheap, demagogic, impotent, and buffoonish. But one can understand the politics of it, right? Because what is Mayor Nutter? He's a mayor who's elected by an electorate that is in substantial part black. Black people are afraid of racism, just as white people, as the author astutely notes, are afraid of being accused of racism. And Mayor Nutter is simply playing to these fears of his constituents. It's shameful and cowardly.
I know. I commend everybody to read this article. It's Philadelphia Magazine.
Philadelphia Magazine.
Because it isn't actually an inflammatory article. It's actually quite thoughtful. But James, in reality...
Well, those are not necessarily mutually exclusive.
Okay.
It is inflammatory because it's thoughtful. It strikes a nerve, but it strikes a nerve that needs to be struck.
Well, that's just it, James. If the mayor comes out so strongly against an article like this, who suffers? Is it the black community that suffers if we don't talk about race, the white community, everybody? I mean, don't we need to talk about these issues?
Well, yes, but when people like President Clinton years ago and Eric Holder a few years ago say we need to have a conversation about race, people on the political multicultural left, they don't mean let's have a conversation. They mean let's have a lecture. Let us lecture you, white people who aren't sufficiently liberal, about what you need to think. And what we see in this Philadelphia Magazine article, which is very thoughtful, very sensitive, very complicated. It doesn't paint a simple picture of quote-unquote white racism. It paints a picture of white people, most of whom, he doesn't really go into their political ideologies, but they live in a liberal city. Most of them are pretty liberal-minded. The author clearly is liberal-minded, but they're just terrified of this subject. It's easier for them to avoid it. And of course, a lot of people avoid it by just moving out of the city altogether and going to the suburbs. But if you're white, you can opt out of this.
Yeah, I want to put a quote up on the screen from the mayor, if we could get that up now. The quote, "The Human Relations Commission should consider specifically whether Philadelphia Magazine and the writer Bob Huber are appropriate for rebuke by the Commission in light of the potentially inflammatory effect and the reckless endangerment to Philadelphia's racial relations possibly caused by the essay's unsubstantiated assertions." James, your response?
Well, I'd love to get a rebuke from this guy. I mean, it would be a badge of honor. As I say, it's impotent. There's nothing they can do. There's nothing they should be able to do. This is not Canada. This is the United States of America. We have free speech here. If it were Canada, they might be able to slap the magazine with some hate speech charges. But no, it's ridiculous.
Well, I guess it just goes to show you, too, that free speech isn't something that we should take for granted because it is threatened in cases like these.
Well, no, it's not threatened because...
this is so ridiculous, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right, but I think what the important thing here is we shouldn't get caught up with the mayor and his buffoonish response. The mayor's response points to the importance of this article. So we shouldn't just say, oh, the Philadelphia has a silly mayor. We should read this article and really think about it because it's a very important article. And the fact that it has struck such a nerve in the mayor, in a way he's doing a public service by drawing attention to it.
And you're writing about it in Best of the Web.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, you can read Best of the Web online at WSJ.com. Best of the Web columnist James Taranto, thank you so much for being with us.